My beloved child, I have placed the key to your life in your own hands, so that every choice, every thought, every feeling you hold may open the door that leads back to my light. Yet when you grow careless and allow doubt, anxiety, and emotion to take the lead, you unknowingly place that very key into the hands of darkness, letting it slip into even the smallest corners of your soul. Today I do not condemn you, but I awaken you. You are the one I love. Do not let darkness write the story of your life in your place. There are times when my voice still whispers very near, yet your heart is crowded with the noise of worry, calculations, and feelings that rise and fall like ocean waves. You begin to question my goodness, brushing aside gentle reminders, no longer keeping your focus on me. Instead of looking to my steadfast promise, you stare into the worst forecasts of your imagination, trusting your emotions more than you trust my word. Little by little, you stop recognizing my presence in the small things, a peaceful meal, a moment of protection from harm, a soothing embrace. You think I am far away, but in truth, it is only your heart that has turned its face elsewhere. When you allow negative thoughts, accusations, comparisons, silent judgments to take up space in your mind, you are handing authority to the enemy without realizing it. He whispers, "You are useless. You are behind others. You are not worthy." And you receive it as a truth about yourself. Sadness, disappointment, and suspicion begin to lead you, replacing the Holy Spirit who longs to guide you in peace and hope. Every time you agree with a lie, darkness gains another small piece of ground within you. I see it, and it pains me not because you make me lose face, but because I know you are living far beneath the dignity I have given you. At times you are bound tightly by old memories, mistakes, wounds, rejection, words that still hurt you even now. You do not fully trust my complete forgiveness, so you keep seeing yourself through the lens of former sin. You let the past decide your present worth and your future, letting comparison, envy, and inferiority before others' success or wealth erode your inner freedom. Then, weary, you search for human approval, trying to please everyone and losing the simple joy of being in me. My child, that is the moment you unknowingly hand the key of your life to darkness. Yet, even in that very moment, I stand patiently at the door of your heart, waiting for you to return, so I may gently place the key back into your hand and teach you again how to open the way into the light. I see that deep within you there is a quiet space, mixed with shadow, a place where you no longer recognize my voice as easily as before. Not because I have moved away from you, and not because I have fallen silent, but because tangled thoughts have covered the ears of your soul. You once heard me clearly. A soft reminder was enough for you to know it was me. A small movement within was enough for you to sense my leading. But as life grew busy, as worries pressed in, as wavering emotions that seemed harmless became familiar, you gradually ignored the subtle presence I kept sending. I do not rebuke you. I only want you to understand that this distance did not happen in a day. It began when you no longer placed me first, as you did in the beginning. My child, doubt is not a sin, but it is the starting point of a battle within the soul. I have seen many, when facing trials, let their reasoning grow heavy with worry. Let their feelings sweep them away like rushing water, and in the end trust fear more than they trust my word. When you begin to ask, does God still care about me? In that very moment the seed of doubt has been planted. It is small and hardly noticed, but if watered by anxiety and fed by negative thoughts, it grows quickly and covers the sky you were meant to look toward. I see this and my heart aches, not because you doubt me, but because if you would only trust a little more, you would see my hand still covering you in every breath. In your early years of following me, you could easily discern what was the urging of the Holy Spirit and what was merely the noise of emotion. But as you matured, you allowed countless other voices to crowd in the voice of the world, the voice of self-blame, the voice of comparison, the secret voice of complaint hidden in your heart. Those voices are not strong by themselves, but because you listen to them more. My voice becomes faint in your perception. I have never stopped speaking. I am only waiting for you to open your spiritual ears again, like a child who recognizes his father's voice in the middle of a crowded market. Yet you turn your ear toward the sorrowful songs of worry. And so the peace I give has no place to remain for long. Do you remember when I said, "My sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me"? That love has not changed. Yet when you let your mind wander in worries you insist on holding, you begin to drift away from the flock, farther from where my voice is heard most clearly. I do not force you back with a command. I simply call your name with the whispering voice you once knew well. But if your heart is too busy with the worst possible scenarios, you will think I am silent, when in truth, you have covered your ears with your own sighs. There is a story in Scripture you have often heard from an old angle, but today I tell it to you in a different way. In those days, the prophet Elijah lived in a spiritual desert within himself. After witnessing a mighty miracle on Mount Carmel, he still fell into confusion and fear when threatened in Israel. He fled. He despaired. He told me he wanted to give up. I did not scold him, nor did I speak harshly. I only brought him into a quiet place, so he would see that I was not in the great wind, not in the earthquake, not in the blazing fire. I was in the gentle whisper, so light that only those who truly listen can recognize it. My child, even Elijah, who once heard me clearly, went through a moment of doubt. What brought him back to my voice was not the strain of trying harder, but the peace I gave him in a fragile, quiet breath of wind. So it is with you. You have not lost the ability to hear me. You only need to return to the quiet moment where my voice once touched your heart so gently. You will see that I have not changed. I know what makes you slip into that gray place of doubt. It is when you build the center of your life on temporary things, shifting emotions, other people's evaluations, the standards society sets up, fears about the future you think you must carry alone. You begin to look at life through a lens that lacks faith, and you unconsciously conclude that I have not acted, have not helped, have not answered. But in truth, you do not see because your eyes are turned elsewhere. Just as when clouds cover the sun, the light is still there, only people see less of it. My nature does not change when your emotions change. I remain the source of light. But your heart must open the door to receive that light. The deeper cause, my child, is the silent exhaustion you refuse to speak aloud. You think I am strong and mighty, so your small worries are not worth bringing to me. You fear being seen as weak. You fear bothering me. But I want you to know a child never bothers his father, especially when his father loves him with immeasurable love. When you keep every heavy thing inside, you leave yourself no space to hear me. You place your burden on your own shoulders instead of laying it at my feet. And that burden makes my voice feel far away. Sometimes you hesitate to pray because you think, God already knows everything. Yes, I know. But I do not only want to know, I want to hear you speak the very things that hurt you, worry you, confuse you. For when you speak them, the wall built by fear begins to collapse, and you open the door of your soul for me to enter with gentle comfort. The more you keep silent, the more room doubt has to grow roots. Another reason you ignore my voice is that you have grown used to choosing what sounds fast and satisfies immediately. Emotion gives you instant answers. Anxiety gives you the illusion that you are preparing better. Negative thinking gives you a false sense of control. But my voice is not loud, not pushy, not filling your mind with the worst possible scripts. My voice brings peace, and because that peace is gentle, you sometimes assume I have said nothing. I do not blame you for this. I only want you to realize that the value of my word is not in its volume, but in its power to transform life from within. Now I call you back, not with thunder from the sky, not with threats, but with the love that has belonged to you since the moment I placed your first breath within your chest. Do not be afraid when you hear me calling you home. Returning does not mean punishment. It means stepping back into the light that was always meant for you. I am not telling you to change quickly, and I am not demanding you prove anything. I only ask one small step: sit down, grow quiet again, and tell me you want to hear my voice once more. When you do, all of heaven rejoices because a soul is being led back to the source of love. I want you to know that your doubt does not disappoint me. I have seen Thomas touch the nail marks on my hands in order to believe. I have heard the cries of those I love, cries mixed with confusion and fear. Yet every time they turned back, I never shut the door. So it is with you. You need only reach out, and I will take your hand before you even manage to touch mine. Your worry is not as terrifying as you think, and your weakness is not an obstacle to me. I only desire to enter the dark place where you are standing, so that my light may push back every uncertainty within you. Do one very small thing instead of asking, "Where are you, Lord?" Whisper, "Lord, here I am." You will be surprised to find I answer more quickly than you imagined. I am closer to you than the heartbeat you hear each day. Every breath you take is guarded by me. Every tear you shed rests in the palm of my hand. If you open your heart even a little, you will hear my voice like the gentle whisper Elijah met, never noisy, yet strong enough to stir your entire soul. Returning to me is not turning back time. It is opening again the door you unintentionally closed. No failure is great enough to make me distant from you. No distance is long enough that I cannot cross it. My heart is wider than your fear, and my love is broader than the days you believe you are unworthy of anything. When you return, your eyes will gradually see, your ears will gradually hear, and your heart will gradually understand that I have always been there, never a half step away. And then, as you begin to live in the light again, you will realize something deep. Doubt is not only a loss of direction, but also a reminder that your heart needs to be led. I will guide you step by step, gentle as a father, holding the hand of a child, learning to walk. You will see that the worries you thought were solid were only shadows of lies. You will see that the noises that once drowned out my voice were nothing but empty echoes when placed under the light of truth. And you will recognize that your heart, once returned to its rightful place, will easily discern what is my voice and what belongs to darkness. When you regain that spiritual sensitivity, you will begin to see life in a new light, a light not born of striving, but of restored love. That will open a different journey, where you learn not only to hear me, but also to refuse the voices that would steal the peace I have given you. From here, you will step into a deeper ground of the spiritual walk, where your thoughts and emotions no longer lead you naturally, but must bow before the guidance of the Holy Spirit. And that will open yet another door, the door that leads to the next matter I want to speak to you about. When you no longer keep your focus on me, your mind easily drifts into worry and emotion, and then moves away from the promise I have kept for you from everlasting. Keep your heart tender, for what I am about to tell you will take you deeper into the liberating truth I have prepared especially for you, my beloved child. There are moments when your heart feels like a leaf caught in the wind of life, spinning without direction, carried wherever it goes, only to land in clouds of dust. I have seen this for a long time. From the days when you believed you were strong, confident, mature enough to stand firm before sudden upheavals. Yet when a single gust of anxiety blows in, your mind is swept away, no longer resting beside the peace I give. I do not blame you. I only want you to understand that your mind is like a lamp. If it does not turn toward the light, it will naturally drift toward the darkness. Worry does not come from what happens outside of you, but from the distraction within you when your gaze turns away from me. When you let emotions lead you, you will feel as though you are walking on a restless sea, never able to stand steady for long. You look at circumstances and allow feelings to decide the worth of your day. You hear one negative word and let it become the truth about who you are. You see only what human eyes can see, hear only what natural ears can hear, and forget that I have placed within you spiritual eyes that can see farther, and spiritual ears that can hear me above every other noise. It grieves me to watch you surrender yourself to emotions that rise and fall like waves, not because you are weak, but because you could have stood upon the sea like Peter long ago if only your eyes had remained on me. There is a story in the scriptures that many overlook, but I want to tell it to you from a different angle. When Isaiah saw me in the temple, he was living among a people full of anxiety, unstable, surrounded by war and uncertainty. His mind was like yours is now, wavering, weary, unsure of anything. Yet in the instant he beheld me, every fear dissolved like morning mist before the sun. He no longer heard the cries of the crowd, no longer felt haunted by the threats of enemies. He heard only my voice asking, "Whom shall I send?" And in that moment, Isaiah, who had been trembling, answered with boldness, "Here am I. Send me." Do you see, when your mind turns toward me, you will hear what others cannot hear, and you will stand where others cannot stand. But, my child, worry has a very subtle nature. It does not run up to you and shout aloud. It quietly pulls you off course, with just one small thought like, what if something bad happens tomorrow? Your mind begins to imagine a whole chain of terrible things that have never even existed. You believe the pictures fear paints more than the words I have already spoken to you. You think you are preparing, but in truth you are being led by something I never wanted you to bow to. You look at the waves instead of looking at me, and when your eyes leave me, your heart will naturally lean toward anxiety, not because you are weak, but because you are human, and you need me to keep your mind in peace. Many times you blame yourself. Why do I worry so easily? But you do not realize that your mind is pulled not only by circumstances, but because you are letting small things occupy the place that belongs to me. One negative piece of information becomes the burden of your entire day. One small disappointment can turn into a tragedy in your heart. You force yourself to explain, analyze, and predict everything with your own limited strength. And while you are scrambling, my voice, the voice of peace, is pushed to the end of your priorities. It is not that I have left you, but that you have temporarily placed me behind your own worries. I am not asking you to strain yourself into strength. I only want you to know this: your mind will move toward what you focus on. If you look to me, you will find peace. If you look to worry, you will find storms. If you look to emotions, you will see only what changes. If you look to my word, you will see what endures forever. I created you so that your mind would be nourished by truth, not by worst-case imagination. But for that to happen, you must choose to set your eyes on me first, like rice plants turning toward the sun to grow, not toward the darkness, even though darkness always seems more abundant than light. Now I invite you to come back, not with a hurried call, but with the gentle calm of a father who places a light hand on the shoulder of a trembling child. I know how hard you have tried. I know you never wanted your mind to run after anxiety. It runs because you are tired. because you are wounded, because you fear you are not enough. But know this, returning to me does not require you to be perfect. I only ask you to breathe out deeply and say, Lord, my mind is troubled, draw me back. That single sentence is enough to brighten the sky within your heart. I want you to learn this, the mind cannot remain empty. If it is not filled with my word, it will fill itself with worry. If it is not led by me, it will be led by emotions. There is no neutral ground for the soul. And so, each time your mind drifts, I do not want you to accuse yourself, gently draw it back, like a shepherd lifting up a little lamb that has wandered off. You are not punished for wandering, you are gathered into my embrace because I love you. Try something very simple each morning. Before you look at a screen, look to me. Before you face the noise of life, rest in the stillness I give. Before you let emotions decide your attitude, let my word become your foundation. You will find your mind growing stronger not because you manage it better, but because you are being covered by me. And when your mind is set in its rightful place, worry will no longer have the authority to pull you away. I know you long to live a life of peace. I know you crave lightness in your soul. And I tell you, this peace does not come from understanding everything, but from knowing that I am still governing everything. When you let me be the center, your mind will stand steady in the storm. When you let me be your anchor, you will not drift anymore. And when you learn this, you will step into a deeper place where not only anxiety, but even the lies and accusations in your mind lose their power over you. One day, when you look back, you will recognize something wondrous. The mind that once felt chaotic will now be able to discern which voice is truth and which voice is deception. You will no longer be easily swept away by sudden waves of emotion. You will no longer fear the uncertainty of tomorrow. You will no longer be haunted by opinions, judgments, or comparisons. Your mind will become calm like still water after a storm because you know who dwells within your heart. And from that place of peace, you will gradually realize that a deeper battle awaits your courage when negative thoughts and quiet accusations slip in. They do not merely want to make you anxious, they want to steal the authority I have given you and hand it to darkness. But do not be afraid. When your mind has learned to focus on me, you will have strength to face the next part of the journey, the part I will gently unveil to you how not to surrender authority to the enemy through thoughts and the lies it sows into your heart. Rest a little in peace, for what I am about to say will lead you into a deeper level of freedom that I have prepared for you. I will walk with you, step by step, my child. There are moments when I look into your heart and see something I never desire. You are unconsciously placing the key to your soul into the enemy's hand because of small yet persistent thoughts it has planted within you. Not because you mean to, and not because you are weak, but because you seem to forget this darkness cannot step into your life by itself. It can enter only when you leave the door of your mind slightly open. Those whispered accusations, those petty comparisons, those thoughts of, I'm not enough, I'm inferior, I have no value, become a bridge you unknowingly build for the enemy to approach. I do not rebuke you. I only grieve when you believe what darkness says about you more than what I have spoken over you from everlasting. The reason you so easily hand over authority is not the strength of darkness, but the quiet exhaustion that weakens the spiritual barrier within you. When you do not rest in me, one small criticism becomes a blade. When you forget the identity I have given you, even a single comparing glance from someone else can make you feel small. You hear people say you are not good enough, and you instantly believe you are useless. You see others succeed, and you immediately think you have failed. You do not realize that the moment you agree with those words is the moment you surrender authority, allowing them to become a fortress in your mind. And then, instead of hearing my voice, You begin to hear the voice of darkness, a voice repeated day after day, until it becomes a false truth you no longer question. There is an ancient story few people look at this way, but I want to use it to illuminate your heart. When David stood before Goliath, people said he was too small, too weak, too inexperienced. If David had believed those words, he would have turned and fled, handing authority to fear. But David did not look at himself, and he did not look at Goliath, he looked at me. Therefore, no accusation, no intimidation, no foolish comparison could touch him. Do you see, David's strength did not come from his hand, but from the fact that he did not give darkness authority through his thoughts. And you, too, you do not need to become strong like King David. You only need to stop agreeing with the lies that have fastened invisible chains around you. I want you to understand this. The enemy is not afraid of your sorrow. It is afraid of you, recognizing truth. It is not afraid of your weakness. It fears you, knowing that I am strong on your behalf. It targets your thoughts because it knows thoughts lead to emotions. Emotions lead to actions. Actions lead to habits. And habits shape a life. It only needs to plant one negative seed in your mind, and it has the patience to wait for that seed to become a root that is hard to pull out. And when you keep believing those condemning words, you are giving darkness authority to control how you see yourself, how you see life, and how you see me. I do not say this to frighten you. I say it to awaken you because you deserve to live in the freedom I give. Now I call you back not as one who has lost a battle, but as a child stepping out from the great shadow of deception and into the light that has always been yours. You do not need to strain to defeat negative thoughts. You only need to hand the key back to me, and I will break chains you are not strong enough to undo. Do not condemn yourself for believing lies in the past. What matters is that today you begin to choose to believe my word. When you say, Lord, let me see myself as you see me, in that very moment the dominion of darkness is stripped away. You do not need to wrestle every thought. You only need to let me fill your mind and your heart. Light does not fight darkness, it only needs to appear, and darkness loses its place. Remember this, no accusation can stand when I declare you forgiven. No comparison can bind you when I declare you chosen. No lie can make you fall when I declare you belong to me. Once you allow me to restore your true identity, the things that once made you tremble will become no more than a passing breeze. And from that place of peace, you will learn to recognize which voice is mine and which voice is darkness. I will teach you, little by little, so you will no longer be someone dragged away, but someone who stands firm in truth. Then a day will come when you realize that darkness never stole your authority. You were the one who handed it over. And even more wondrous is this, you can take it back with one small decision: return to me. When you return, every accusation that once wounded you will lose its power. Every comparison that once exhausted you will carry no weight. Every lie that once made you question your worth will fall like ash. You will rise not with the posture of someone who barely escaped, but with the posture of someone who knows they are loved, chosen, sheltered, restored. And when your mind is finally freed from those invisible chains, you will step into another page of your spiritual journey where you must face not only the lies from the outside, but also the old memories, the wounds of the past that once bound your soul. For some, pain does not come from the present, but from things that happened long ago, yet they still have the power to make you bow your head. And I, with a love that does not grow weary, will lead you into the next part, laying down the yoke of the past, so you will no longer live under the shadow of guilt and painful memories. Prepare your heart, for what I am about to say will heal deeper than anything you have ever endured. My beloved child, I see that deep within your soul there is a room you keep tightly locked, a place filled with memories you no longer dare to touch, You thought that if you never looked back, they would disappear on their own, but in truth, every buried memory becomes an unseen chain around your soul. You tell yourself the past is over, yet each time you look at yourself through an old lens, you allow failures that no longer exist to define your present worth. I forgave you long ago. I have forgotten the very things that hurt you, yet you still hold them as though they are a part of you that cannot be released. I do not blame you. I only want you to know you were not created to live in the shadow of yesterday. There are subtle reasons you keep clinging to painful memories. Sometimes you fear letting go because you believe you do not deserve complete forgiveness. Sometimes you think carrying pain is the way to atone. Sometimes you hear people speak of an old failure and you conclude you will never change. But you do not realize that this fear is what keeps you far from me. The past does not bind you. Your belief that it still has power over you is the true chain. I look at you and I see a child who is loved, washed clean, made new. Yet you look at yourself and see only old fractures. You have forgotten that my hand can turn those fractures into windows for light to pass through. An ancient story in Scripture still echoes today, the story of Mephibosheth, Jonathan's crippled son. He lived his whole life in shame, convinced he was only pitiful, useless, unworthy of anything good. But when King David, the one who loved his father, brought him to the palace, Mephibosheth trembled and cried, "What am I? But a dead dog, do you see?" That is the voice of the past, the voice of shame, the voice of a self wounded for too long. Yet David did not see him the way he saw himself. David saw him through the covenant of love and faithfulness. In the same way, when I call you back to my table, you too often name yourself beneath what I have spoken over you. You let old memories speak in my place. While I want you to sit in the seat prepared for you, the seat of a child profoundly loved. Now, I want you to pause and look straight at this. The past has no power over you unless you keep handing it power. You cannot walk steadily while one foot is still tied to yesterday. I know you do not mean to hold on to pain. You are only afraid that if you let go, you will lose a part of yourself. But what you are gripping is not you, it is only old fragments that fell away from your life long ago. Let me touch those wounds. I do not come to reopen your pain, but to heal it at the root. When you look to me, you will see that the forgiveness I give is not a temporary acceptance, but a cleansing forgiveness so complete that no trace remains for anything to accuse you. I invite you back to me with the tenderness only a loving father can give. You do not have to prove you have changed, and you do not have to strain yourself to forget the days you fell. I ask only that you come a little closer and say, "Lord, restore to me a new heart." You will find me holding you with a gentleness you have never known, like a shepherd lifting a wounded lamb and wiping away the road dust from its tangled fleece. I do not only heal what you did wrong, I heal the shame of what you have lived through. I do not only erase failure, I return to you your original dignity, dignity that cannot be worn down by any memory. Once you allow me to break the chains of the past, you will realize that walking in freedom is not as hard as you imagined. Yesterday's darkness will fade as you step into today's light. You will see that your worth does not come from what you once did, but from the one who loved you before you ever knew how to love him. You will see that the past, no matter how dark, cannot cover the good plan I have prepared for you. And as your heart is healed, you will begin to see life with new eyes, no longer trembling before memory, no longer avoiding truth. You will walk lighter, steadier, deeper in my love. And when you recover freedom from the past, I will lead you to another corner of your heart where you sometimes quietly compare yourself to others, shrinking back before their success and wealth. Old pain has weakened your ability to know your true worth, and that comparison is simply the next consequence I want to set you free from. Be ready, for I am about to bring you into another truth that will steady your soul. Do not let envy and insecurity steal the unique plan I have set apart for you alone. My beloved, I watch you move through this world as though walking through a noisy marketplace, where countless lights, voices, and advertisements compete to pull your gaze toward them. Among so many faces and stories, you begin to look at yourself and whisper, "Why do I have so little? Why am I so inadequate? Why is there nothing about me to be proud of?" At first, those quiet comparisons are like a gentle breeze passing by, but little by little they become a storm within you, knocking loose the peace I placed inside your heart. You can no longer see clearly the value I gave you, because your eyes are too busy counting what others possess. I do not blame you. I know your heart is tender before the glitter of this life, but I want you to see this every time you make yourself small beneath another person's success and wealth. You are unconsciously denying what I have carefully planted within you. The reason you fall so easily into comparison is not because you are bad, but because you forget how uniquely you were formed. The world teaches you that value comes from status, houses, fame, applause, but I tell you that value comes from belonging to me. When you look around and see others moving faster, having more, being noticed more, you assume I favor them while leaving you behind. In truth, you are using the world's measuring stick to measure an eternal plan. That measuring stick cannot calculate the depth of a soul, cannot weigh faithfulness, cannot see the silent battles you have walked through with me. And because you listen to the world's voice so often, my voice, the voice that declares you my beloved child, in whom I delight, grows faint in your awareness. Let me tell you a small story from Scripture, one many people skim past. Long ago, when I sent Samuel to anoint a new king in Jesse's house, he saw David's brothers tall, handsome, outwardly worthy of a throne. If Samuel had used the world's eyes, he would have chosen one of them immediately. But I told him I do not see as people see. People look at the outward appearance, but I look at the heart. David, the shepherd boy left outside the feast, was the smallest in everyone's eyes. Yet he was the one I chose. Do you see? If David had only compared himself to his brothers, shrinking back because he was just a shepherd, he would not have stepped into the great plan I had prepared for him. And so it is with you. Every time you envy others and belittle yourself, you push yourself away from the unique place I have appointed for you on my map of love. I understand so well how you feel when you see others possessing what you have dreamed of, but do not yet have, or doing what you long to do but have not yet done. Often that envy is born from a hidden longing. You want your life to matter too. You want to be acknowledged, to be seen. I do not deny that longing after all. I am the one who placed in you the desire to live a life of meaning. But when that desire is not anchored in me, it easily twists into comparison, envy, and insecurity. You begin to measure your heart by money, your worth by people's praise or criticism, your future by what you lack. You forget that the plan I have for you is not limited by what you do not have, but upheld by all that I am in your life. Now, with all the gentleness of a father, I invite you to stop, breathe deeply, and place your hand on your chest. Ask your own heart whose gaze you want to live under, the world's gaze or mine. If you choose my gaze, you will see a child who is not small, but utterly unique, not inferior, but being prepared for a distinct path. You do not have to race to seize what others have. You only need to walk steadily in the lane I have marked out for you. When you stop looking at others' hands and begin looking at mine, you will see that I have never left you empty. You may not have what they have, but you carry seeds within you that only you can plant into this world. I need you in your place. I do not need a copy of anyone else. Return to me in the quietness of your heart, where the world's comparisons grow silent, where envy fades, where self-accusation no longer speaks. I want to whisper to you, you are the one-of-a-kind work I formed with my own hands. When that word sinks in, the glittering lights of this world will lose their pull, and you will begin to see the beauty of your own journey. You will learn to cherish every small step, every seemingly ordinary task, every unseen effort that few people notice, because you understand that I am watching you with tender eyes. Comparison will slowly fall away, envy will dissolve, insecurity will be replaced by gratitude and peace. And from that new place of peace, I will lead you even farther. For after you pass through the fog of comparison and insecurity, you will realize there is another temptation, far more subtle, the craving for the world's approval. Until you are willing to trade the simple joy of abiding in me for the applause of others. I do not want you to fall into a new chain after I have just broken the old one. So, in the next step, I will gently show you the difference between living under my gaze and living under the world's gaze. So you will know how to keep your heart free amid judgment, praise, misunderstanding, and fleeting honor. Keep your heart open, for what I am about to say will become a shield for you against the pressure to please everyone, so that your only desire is to please me alone. My child, in the middle of all the inner tug-of-war within you, amid comparison, jealousy, insecurity, and even the voices that confuse you about your own worth, I want you to pause and listen deeply. I am not merely watching you struggle, but I am actively, powerfully, and gently intervening in your life. Little by little, my power is not loud, yet it is always present, like an underground current that tirelessly flows beneath the earth, quietly watering even the driest places. My authority is weaving into every detail, every turning point, every relationship in your life. I am gradually untying the knots you cannot undo. I am closing doors that seem good but would lead you off course. And I am opening new paths that you do not yet fully understand. The heavy atmospheres, toxic environments, and harmful influences that once pulled you further from the light, I am steadily shifting, cleansing, and removing them from your orbit. I am correcting the missteps, realigning choices that seem harmless but, in the long run, could draw you far from me. All of this you may not see with your eyes or measure by your emotions, but in the deepest layer of your soul, I am working ceaselessly for you. I have not only erased your past mistakes, I have washed away the stain of sin upon your soul by the priceless blood of my only Son, so that no verdict has any right to weigh you down anymore. In your most hidden places, I have breathed new life again, awakened the spirit that seemed exhausted, that fell asleep under disappointment and self-condemnation for far too long. Each day you walk forward, if you make room for me, I will strengthen your inner being a little more, steady you a little more, and make you a little more clear-minded. Do not think that only grand miracles are my work. Sometimes it is the strange peace in the middle of a storm, the unexplainable lightness of heart in the midst of tangled chaos, the ability to forgive even after deep wounds. These are all signs that I am alive within you. You may not yet see the full outcome, but trust that everything, whether small or great, is being rewoven and rearranged by me in a way that is truly and enduringly for your good, not merely according to momentary desires or impulsive emotions. Around you, though you cannot see them, my angels do not rest. They are not abstract images in books, but messengers who stand attentive before my throne, listening for my command to go forth and carry out my loving plan for your life. When you think you are praying quietly alone in a small room, when you assume your whispers are hardly heard, in that very moment I have inclined my ear and issued orders for my heavenly hosts to move. Some angels are sent to protect you from accidents you will never know about. Some are sent to prepare the way for an important encounter. Some remain beside you to uphold your spirit on days you feel you cannot endure any longer. I do not use angels to frighten you, but to let you know you are not fighting alone. My unseen army rushes into the battle line for you. By my word, not by the strength you force out of yourself. So when you open your mouth to praise, when you choose to sing even while your heart is still heavy, when you decide to give thanks while you still cannot see a way out, your faith will grow. Sincere praise, rising from your heart, is a sweet fragrance that ascends straight to my throne, shaking the spiritual heavens, flinging open the storehouses of blessing I have already prepared for you. Keep praising. Keep trusting. Let your heart burn for me, because that is when you open the door wide for my blessings to pour in. Engrave this in your heart: my love for you is not half-hearted. It does not change, and it does not depend on whether today you are good or bad, successful or failing. That love is so deep you cannot reach its bottom. So long it embraces every shadowed corner you still hide. So high, it covers even the dreams you have not yet found words to name. When fear slips into the chamber of your heart like an uninvited stranger, when despair falls like sudden night, when the thoughts I am nothing, I will never make it begin to repeat stop and remember that I am right beside you. I do not stand far away to shout or accuse. I draw close, lay my hand upon your shoulder, like a father sitting level with a child curled up in the corner. I do not scold you for moments of weakness. I only fear you might pretend to be strong for so long that you no longer dare to fall into my embrace. If your heart is so heavy that you must cry, do not hold it back. Let those tears fall into my hands. I will turn them into tears that are wiped dry by joy, by the relief of one who knows they are held and sheltered. I soothe your soul with a tenderness no earthly embrace can compare to, and my spirit will remain with you, whispering, guiding, consoling, and lighting each step you take along a road that still feels unclear. Do not think your prayers are weak, meaningless, or too small compared to the universe. Each time you are at the bottom of anxiety or at the peak of hope and still choose to cry out, Lord, please help me, the sky that seemed silent begins to move. I am not limited by time. I am not hindered by distance. I am not confused by the complexity of what you are facing. The moment you speak, I have heard. The moment you ask, I have begun to act. Even when the way I act does not look like what you imagined, I send angels who carry joy to touch your shadowed heart, so that the dark places within you are gradually replaced by the light of hope. I pour out understanding and wisdom, not to make you proud, but to help you see each step clearly: what to do, where to wait, and when to stop. I open your mind so you can see exits you never considered before. I restore relationships that seemed broken beyond repair, and I even use failures to teach you lessons that will protect you in the days ahead. My hand upon your soul is not there to press you down, but to cover you. I pour into you a love without conditions. I give you a peace that does not depend on circumstances, especially in the tightest hours. When everything around you seems to be collapsing, do not underestimate the value of prayer. It is not merely a ritual or habit, but the bridge that joins your heart to my heart. When you pray, you are not only telling me what you need because I already know, but you are throwing open the doors of your inner world, allowing me to enter deeper. I can change the outcome of an event, reverse a situation, heal a sick body, rescue a soul under oppression, even overturn the dark plans the enemy has prepared against you. I can shake heaven and earth for you, not because you meet human standards of worthiness, but because you are my child, my treasure, redeemed at the cost of my only son. What I desire is that you do not carry everything alone. Do not drown yourself in heavy thoughts. Do not force your small heart to bear a mountain of problems that I am willing to lift for you. I do not want you living as though you must constantly gasp for air, flailing in the whirlpool of worry, or drifting among waves of despair without reaching shore. I long to see you walk lightly, knowing how to lay at my feet what you cannot carry, able to smile with peace even while the storm is not yet past. When you begin to give me the right to hold all that burdens you, you will understand that I never created you to sink under problems, but to stand firm in the middle of them by strength that comes from me. And from that very place, you will no longer be bound by the need for human approval, no longer haunted by the obsession of having to prove something, because you have tasted the freeing truth. It is enough that I know you, enough that I am with you, enough that I delight in you, for that is enough for a lifetime. My beloved child, from the moment I engraved your name upon the palms of my hands, I never intended for you a patched together, temporary life, swept along by the fleeting gaze of the world. I created you with a full and purposeful design, so you could taste abundance in your inner life, in your relationships, even in the quiet callings that only you carry. You were not born to chase applause until you collapse in exhaustion, but to live in the gentle rhythm of my heart. Yet for that to become real, you must do something that seems simple but is profoundly deep. Return me to the center of your heart. Place your heart, your dreams, your fears, your wounds, and even your joys into my hands, so I may care for them, shape them, heal them, and lead you along paths you have never imagined. When you allow me to be the one who forms your life, you will no longer be bound by the world's standards, and you will begin to discover the beauty of who you are through my tender gaze. My grace is not a vague concept, but living water running through the whole history of your life. Each time you thought you had fallen, it was that grace that lifted you up, wiped the dust from your weary feet, and set you again on the solid ground of hope. My compassion is not a look of pity, but arms that embrace the parts of you you feel most ashamed of, most wounded, most tangled, washing, restoring, and turning them into places where my glory can shine. I do not wait until you are perfect to love you, even when you are clumsy, stumbling, even when you despise yourself. I patiently call you beloved child, and that love, when you allow it to soak into every hidden corner of your soul, will transform you from someone who compares, shrinks back, and chases temporary values into someone who knows they have overcome, not because you are better than anyone, but because you are in me, and I have never failed. You do not need to strain yourself into strength. Simply let my love cover you, and it will gradually loosen every knot inside you that you could never untie on your own. Allow yourself to rest for a moment in my arms. Allow your lips to learn how to smile again, not the forced smile that pretends to be fine before others, but the smile that rises from a deep place where you are certain you are held, understood, and cherished. You may not see every change immediately, but trust that from this moment, as you open your heart for my touch, something in the invisible flow of your life is being rearranged. The old heavy days will gradually drift behind you like a closed chapter, no longer holding the power to bind you as before. The comparisons, the judging eyes, the standards that once made you shrink will lose their weight. I am preparing new seasons for you, new doors, new relationships, new opportunities for you to enter with greater confidence, deeper peace, and a steadier heart. When those seasons knock, I want you to receive them not with trembling hands afraid you are unworthy, but with a trusting heart that knows if I am the one who opens the door, then you truly have a place to step in. I listen to every whisper you breathe, even the words you have not dared to speak aloud. I hear the nights you toss and turn, comparing yourself to others, I hear the sighs when you scroll past lives that seem more complete than yours. I even hear the requests you refuse to make because you think God is busy with bigger things. But I am never too busy to make room for your tears. I am never in such haste that I overlook your small shakings. And from the depths of eternity, I have already commanded good things to move quietly around your life. Even when your eyes cannot yet see them, there are hands being prepared to lift you at the right time. Doors that seem tightly shut, but are only waiting for the day and hour I have appointed. Dangers I have already stopped before you even realized. It is not because you are good enough, but because I chose you, because it pleases me to show you kindness, because I see in you a heart that, though fragile, still longs to turn toward the light. I want to pour into you a kind of strength different from what the world talks about, not strength to always be first, to be applauded, to never stumble, but strength to rise each time you fall, to be faithful in small things, to keep loving even when you are misunderstood or looked down on. I want to give you a faith that does not sway under comparisons and judgments, a steadfast will that cannot be bent by the shifting gaze of people. When you stand under my eyes, you will no longer need to chase every compliment, because you know you are already accepted. When you know I walk with you, you will no longer fear when others turn away. You will not need to carry the whole world on your shoulders, because you will know that one greater than the world is carrying you on his. And from that place of peace, your heart will feel lighter, your breath less frantic, your steps gentler, your thoughts wider and softer. My child, allow me to touch the deepest places where you still believe you are not enough. Do not hide from me the shadowed corners you fear bringing into the light, for I did not come to condemn, but to heal. Do not be afraid to say to me, Lord, I am jealous. I am comparing myself. I am hurt because I am not recognized. I do not abandon you for such confessions. On the contrary, I am moved that you dare to be honest. When you bravely name your wound, that is when I can anoint it with healing more gently and more fully. I will teach you to look back at yourself with tender eyes, to see your limits without hating yourself, to see your cracks without shame, to see your fragility without self-reproach. For it is precisely in that fragility that my grace finds room to be revealed in its fullness. Little by little, you will realize that the events that once weighed heavily on your shoulders no longer hold you as they used to. The memories that once made your heart ache will not disappear completely, but they will be wrapped in a different kind of light, the light of forgiveness, the light of understanding, the light of maturity. You will see that through those rugged stretches of the road. You have become gentler toward others, deeper in your words, humbler in the way you live. You will stop asking, "Why did that happen to me?" and begin asking, "What does the Lord want me to learn, to live, to offer from that experience?" Then, the things that once threatened to make you bitter will become a sweet spring from which you can comfort others. I will turn the scars of your life into testimony of my faithfulness, so that each time you look back, you no longer see shame, but blessing. And from here, I want you to take one more step. You are not healed merely to feel more comfortable, but to become an instrument of peace in a world full of noise. When you stand firm in knowing you are loved and chosen by me, you will no longer be swept into the race for recognition. You will be able to smile at another's success without feeling threatened, because you know I have a plan uniquely made for you. You will be able to step back when necessary without feeling invisible, because you understand your worth is not found in the place where you stand, but in the one who stands with you. You will learn to say no to what looks dazzling yet wears down the soul, so that you can say yes to steps that may be quiet but are in harmony with my will. That is the inner freedom I desire to give you, the freedom to live truthfully in your one-of-a-kind calling, without being forced to become a copy of anyone else. My child, I do not promise that from now on your life will have no storms, but I assure you this: from now on, you will not have to face the storms alone. I will be there in the howl of the wind, in the restless sea, in the judgments of people, in the moments you feel small again. Whenever your heart feels heavy, remember to turn back to me, so I may remind you of what you have heard today. You were formed by my hands, upheld by my grace, covered by my mercy, anchored by my love. No event, no word, no scornful glance can take that truth away from you. I call you my child, and that calling is stronger than every label the world has ever placed upon you. I love you not with a fleeting affection, but with an eternal love, patient, steadfast, tireless. I love you on the days you are full of zeal, and I also love you in the moments you lose your way. I love you when you pray with passion, and I also love you when you are so exhausted you can only whisper. Lord, I love you in the successes that fill you with joy, and I also love you in the failures that make you want to hide. My love does not change with your emotions, nor fade because of the mistakes you have made. Today, I invite you to answer that love with a small decision that will change your whole journey. No longer let the eyes of the world define you, but let my gaze be the only place you seek approval. When you do that, you will feel your heart grow lighter, your soul lifted, and your life, though still marked by ups and downs, will become a song of praise to me, the one who loved you before you even realized you needed to be loved. My beloved child, after all the inner struggles you have just stepped out of, the comparisons, jealousy, and insecurity, I now invite you back to something very simple and very sacred. Gather your gaze, your thoughts, and your breath, and place them wholly on me. Do not let your mind be torn into pieces by the many eyes of people, by praise and criticism, by the invisible rankings the world keeps producing. I am calling you, not with thunder and lightning, but with a whisper close within your heart. Return your gaze to me. When you turn your inner eyes fully toward me, layer by layer, the heaviness in your heart will begin to melt away, and you will recognize that you were not born to chase the shifting gaze of human beings, but to live under my unchanging gaze of love. I want you to know that before you do anything for me, what I desire most is that you sit with me in stillness and let your heart rest in my presence. My child, in the moments you thought you were all alone, I was always there, standing right beside you, waiting for you to pause long enough to listen. I do not call you to intimidate you or to add more weight to your shoulders. I call you to remind you that within you there is strength and resilience that I placed there from the beginning. I do not say, "Do not be afraid," as a cold command, but as a father who takes the trembling child's hand and gently reassures, "You are not facing this alone." I understand the very real fears inside you. I see the times you lose heart when things do not go as you hoped. Yet I want you to trust that every step you take, whether on the mountaintop or in the darkest valley, remains within my reach. I do not stand only at the end of the road waiting for you to finish. I walk with you through every stretch, lifting you each time you stumble, wiping your tears whenever your heart breaks. Remember this: the greatest reward in this life is not any achievement, title, or store of wealth, but my presence in every breath you take. The love between you and me is not confined by time. It runs from the innocent days of childhood, through the stormy years of growing, and onward into a future you have not yet seen. Each time you are faithful to me in very small things, in choices no one notices, in quiet refusals of temptation. I remember, I do not reward you only with what the eyes can see. The deepest gift I give is that you may be near me, know me more clearly, and walk in an intimacy that satisfies your soul. Many seek rewards that look like success before the world, But you, my child, are called to receive a different reward. I myself am your inheritance. I know well that your heart has never made the accumulation of gold and silver your highest aim. I see the secret desire you rarely speak aloud. You simply want the people you love to no longer endure lack, sickness, or the suffocating weight of a harsh life. Your heart tightens when you see your family struggle. You lie awake when you hear their groans of physical pain. You ache when you witness them bound by limits they cannot break free from on their own. You do not only want to escape poverty for yourself, but you want your whole family and those around you to break out of the endless cycle of hardship and illness. I see every unspoken sigh, every late night you spend thinking of how you might help them more. To me, that is not merely responsibility, it is the mark of a heart that resembles mine, a heart that refuses to turn away from another's suffering. You often think you are small, that what you can do is not much, that your efforts are only a drop in the vast sea of life. But I see differently. I see that you do not look away when you notice need. You do not run when you face hardship. I see you send what little money you can spare. Filled with love, I see you serve with tired hands each meal, each question asked in care, each time you patiently listen to someone's burdens. You think these are small things not worth mentioning. Yet in my eyes, they are precious seeds of love. Not a single drop of sweat you pour out for others is meaningless. Each quiet sacrifice, each time you choose love instead of turning away, moves me. You have never acted apart from my will, even when you are uncertain. You still try to ask me, to seek my guidance before making a decision. I cherish that carefulness in you. The way, before you begin a plan or a task, you whisper, Lord, if this is not your will, close it. If it is your will, open the way. You are not perfect, yet you choose not to rush ahead when your heart has not found peace. There were times you refused opportunities that seemed golden simply because you did not sense my permission, and the world judged you as naive or unrealistic. You were saddened by being misunderstood. Yet you accepted losing the opportunity rather than losing the peace of your spirit. I witnessed every one of those moments, and I want you to know I do not see you as foolish. I call you wise, because you chose obedience to me instead of chasing the alluring call of the world. Do you remember those mornings when, before you had done anything else, you hurried to murmur a line of my word, read a passage of scripture, or simply place your hand on your chest and say, lead me today, I see it all. Sometimes your eyes still sting from lack of sleep, yet your lips still try to whisper thanksgiving. Sometimes your mind is not fully awake, but your heart turns toward me before turning toward anything else. Those very small moments are an invisible cord that keeps your soul bound to me amid 1,000 distractions. That is why, though you have passed through many waves and storms, your heart has not been swallowed by darkness, because my word continues to flow within you, quietly, yet steadily, like a spring that does not run dry. Because of these things, I have poured out and will continue to pour out what you cannot produce on your own wisdom from heaven and strength beyond your natural limits. I do not merely give you skills or a good memory, I give you light to discern what to do, what to release, what to wait for, and what to step into. In the midst of a forest of advice, I teach you to recognize which voice is mine and which is only noise. I place in you ideas that surprise even you, inspirations that help you solve difficulties in ways that benefit not only you but many others. I strengthen you on days when you feel there is no energy left to continue. I set within you an endurance that outsiders cannot understand. Then you will see that as you walk under that guidance, what you set your hands to will begin to bear fruit in distinctive ways. Not always loud success, not always big numbers or public acclaim, but real changes in your life and in the lives around you, a household that quarrels less, a loved one who finds hope again, a friend who returns to me, a poor person who finds a way out of despair, a child who is lifted up and encouraged. Each piece of fruit, though small, is evidence that my hand is working with you. You are not the one who creates miracles. You are simply the one who cooperates with me so that miracles may be revealed on earth. And when you look back, you will know there has never been a moment you lived for me that was wasted. Yet, I also know that on this journey, there will be times you grow weary because no one understands you. Because some do not see what you have had to sacrifice. Because heavy judgments fall upon you when you are only trying to follow what I have placed within your heart. There will be days you ask yourself, is it worth it? I chose to follow the Lord's will, so why do I still feel lonely? Why am I still misunderstood? In those days, I want you to remember that the deepest goal of your life is not to be applauded by everyone, but to see me smile. When you do what is right in my eyes, though in the eyes of the world it may seem insignificant or even be mocked, there is still one gaze that watches you and records it all, my gaze. My child, do not stop, do not step back, simply because the world cannot fully understand the sincerity of your heart. You do not live to prove anything to them, you live to respond to my love. I will continue teaching you how to keep your heart tender amid harsh words, how to remain at peace amid waves of biased judgment, how to keep your gaze fixed on me when so many other lights are trying to lure you away. I will show you that the worth of a soul touched by me is more precious than any round of applause. I will teach you what true freedom is, freedom from dependence on human approval, so that you need only one thing to know that I am with you, pleased with you, and walking with you to the very end of the road. My child, when you place the center of your life in me, when you let our relationship matter more than every other gaze, you will enter a very special place of safety, not safety because storms no longer exist, but safety because even when the waves rise, you know whose hands you are in. From that place, you will see others with new eyes, no longer envy, no longer comparison, no longer the need to prove yourself, only a desire to witness my plan blooming in each life. Then you will realize that everything I am doing in you today is not only to strengthen you, but also to prepare you to become comfort, encouragement, and a steady example for those who are reeling from chasing the world's approval. You are called to be a living witness to this truth. Only when a person places their full attention on me do they truly find themselves again. My child, when you stop viewing yourself through the judging eyes of the world and begin to see yourself in my eyes, you will gradually recognize an entirely different reality. I did not call you to shrink back in shame or to run a weary race with the world, but to become a place where goodness flows from my heart. I do not merely want to give you enough. I want to pour into your life an abundance of grace, so rich that it overflows and touches those around you. When you place me above all comparison, envy, and craving for recognition, you will find yourself open to a treasury of blessing you could never have imagined. You were not created merely to survive, but to live a life with depth, inner abundance, unshakable peace, and that very peace will become a living testimony of me in a world that trembles. You will realize that what I have for you is not only outward gifts like work, finances, and health, but first and foremost, an inner life that is healed, balanced, and filled with light. When your soul is rearranged according to the order of the kingdom, the rest of life will gradually fall into order as well. There are times I do not give you everything you want, but I always give what you truly need to grow in love and wisdom. The riches I promise you are not found only in the numbers of an account, but in this: you can sleep in peace, though storms surround you. You can smile, though people misunderstand you. You can share even when you have little. You can keep believing even after you have been wounded. That is spiritual prosperity, something no upheaval in this world can steal from you. When you allow me to lead you, your life will gradually become like a pure well in a barren land. People will come not because you look dazzling on the outside, but because within you there is a clear spring that comforts and revives. You may not be the most noticeable person, but you will carry something the world cannot buy, a steady compassion, a gentleness that is not weakness, a humility that is full of strength. They will see in you someone who is not shaken by praise or blame, someone who can listen without judging, who can correct without humiliating, who can walk in truth while still preserving tenderness. That is the beauty of a soul shaped by me, an ordinary-looking person who, in my eyes and in my purpose, is a treasure. My word, once you receive it with your whole heart, will no longer be dry letters on a page. It becomes new breath for your soul, a light that guides you when you lose your way, an oil that soothes the places that still ache. Every line of my word you store in your heart works like a seed quietly taking root, growing, and in due time blooming and bearing fruit. There are moments you feel as though nothing changes after reading Scripture, praying, and reflecting. Yet within you an entire field is being planted. When storms come, you will be surprised to discover you no longer collapse as you once did, because your roots have grown deep into what I have spoken. I have used my word to bind up the wounds you kept hidden, to gather the forgotten fragments, and to rebuild within you a heart that knows how to believe, to love, and to hope. Do you remember the times you felt you escaped by a hair's breadth without understanding why? Times when a wrong decision could have triggered a long chain of consequences. Yet in the end you were preserved. Times when an illness could have worsened, an accident could have left deep scars, a misunderstanding could have ignited into war, yet everything strangely softened. It was not coincidence. My child, it was my hand quietly shielding you from many things you never fully knew. Some dangers I allow you to see so you learn deeper trust. But countless times I have guarded you from traps your eyes could not detect. You walk through ordinary days, yet every step is covered by providence. If I withdrew my hand for even a moment, you would understand how fragile you truly are. So never think you are merely an anonymous name in a rushing crowd. To me, you are called by name, and your life is upheld by my faithfulness day after day. I am the strength within you when you think you have reached your limit. When you are too weary to pray, I am still interceding for you with groanings beyond words. When you fall silent and cannot speak to anyone, I hear every sigh of yours more clearly than any speech. You think you are collapsing, but I am quietly lifting you in ways you do not notice. An unexpected word of encouragement, a friend calling at the right moment, a small door opening in the middle of dead ends, a spark of light flashing in the dark. I do not promise you will never be weak. I promise that in weakness, you will always have a place to lean. Each time you return to rest in me, you do not burden me. On the contrary, you make me glad, because you are allowing me to do what is in my nature, to love you, to support you, and to raise you up. I am very near to broken hearts, and I never despise tears. You have felt ashamed at times for crying too much, thinking that someone strong in the Lord must always be smiling, always eager, never soft. But I am different. I sit beside you when you weep. I do not demand that you stop at once. I let you pour out everything that is ready to break inside, and only then do I gently wipe away your tears. I turn tears into a quiet kind of strength after each time you cry in me. If you let me hold you, you will rise steadier than before. Pain does not vanish in a day, but it is sanctified, transformed, until one day your old wound becomes the place where you understand another's pain more deeply. where you can embrace trembling souls with the mercy you yourself received. I waste no tear. I use them like rain upon the soil of your heart, so that fresh fruit of love may grow. My child, the blessing I pour out is not a prize for those who appear perfect, but a natural flow in the lives of those who open themselves for me to reshape. When you choose to walk in my ways even slowly, even clumsily, even after stumbling and rising again, you give me room to display my goodness through your very life. I rejoice when I see you learning to love others in practical ways with respect, with the willingness to listen, with refusing to repay malice with malice, with choosing silence over gossip, with rejecting the urge to harm through lies or fabrication. Those small choices may earn no applause and no praise on earth, yet in the kingdom they are recorded as beautiful footsteps on the narrow path. Every time you choose what is right when no one sees, you make more room for my blessing to fall on your life and to spread through you to those around you. You are loved by me personally, not in a vague, general way. I do not merely call you a child, I call you my child, with all the closeness and tenderness of a creator who is both majestic and infinitely gentle. I want my word not to skim across your memory like spiritual information, but to become a rhythm beating with your heart. When you let what I say sink to the deepest place within you, it does not remain there as a mere mark, but as living power able to reshape how you think, how you speak, how you respond, how you love, and how you forgive. When you stand before conflict, if you let my words speak before your emotions do, you will be amazed to find you are no longer swept into anger as before, no longer needing to win every argument. That word is fighting for you, keeping you from saying and doing what you would later regret. The power hidden in what I speak goes far beyond any human strategy. Where you think it is only a few simple lines, I have placed the force to break old chains, to disperse darkness clinging to your thoughts, to overthrow fortresses of pride or insecurity built in your heart over many years. When you face temptation wanting to satisfy yourself with what I do not permit, wanting to react from old instincts, wanting revenge, wanting to give up, my word is the sword that cuts across that pull. You do not overcome by sheer willpower. You overcome by taking shelter behind what I have spoken. And each time you lean on my word like that, the enemy must retreat, and you grow a little more into spiritual maturity. In the end, you will realize that your journey with me is not merely a string of days spent trying not to fail, but a long love story where I patiently teach you that you are precious, teach you to step out of comparison and envy, out of obsession with other people's eyes, so you can live lightly beneath the one gaze that never changes, my gaze. The blessing I promised is not only at the end of the road, it began to flow the moment you chose to believe what I said about you. You are not only one who receives blessing, but a vessel through which blessing is poured out to many. And when you live this way, your ordinary days, quiet, uncelebrated, become the most beautiful pages in the book of love that you and I are writing together. My child, with every silent step you take toward me, every time you choose to return and speak with me instead of chasing the noise outside, my heart rises with a joy too deep for human words. I see your devotion not in grand achievements, but in the smallest choices, a quiet prayer, a whispered yes when you are tired, a moment when you hold back anger simply because you think of me. To you, these may seem ordinary, but to me they are signs that your heart is maturing, your faith is growing, and the fear that once bound your feet no longer holds you as it did. You may not notice it yet, but I see a new light in your spiritual eyes, not the gaze of a child panicking before the storm, but the gaze of a son or daughter trusting the Father's arms even while the wind still blows. In the very moment you choose to return to me with sincerity and simplicity, all of heaven rejoices. And I, the one who formed you, smile like a father, watching his child learn to take the first steady steps. I am slowly widening the inner horizon within you, so you no longer see only the small things around you, but begin to discern the broader context of spiritual life. I am allowing you a glimpse of a portion of the good plan I have already prepared for your life, the blessings I desire to give, the doors I desire to open, the people I desire you to touch with my love. Yet I also want you to understand clearly that alongside those blessings, there is a quiet but very real battle taking place, a struggle not of flesh, but in the deepest layers of the soul. When you choose to live nearer to me, when you long to walk in clearer light, darkness does not remain still. It will try to weary your heart, to blur my image within you, to sow again doubts, comparisons, jealousy, and inferiority, the very things I have begun to heal. Do not panic when you realize you are in that battle. Instead, recognize this: the fact that you are being attacked is evidence that you are moving toward the light and no longer traveling in the same direction as darkness. I see both you and your family, those you love, those who weigh on your heart day and night. I know there are moments you quietly wonder, if I walk with the Lord, will the people close to me be attacked? Will sudden trials come crashing in? I understand those hidden fears, and I want you to remember this: the enemy may roar, may bare its claws, may seek every way to disturb, but it is not permitted to touch the deepest part of you when you are in me. It may stir waves on the surface, but it cannot drown your soul when you are holding my hand. It may threaten, weaving worst-case scenarios to frighten you, but its power is always limited by the boundary of my love for you and your family. On the cross, I paid the full price to reclaim authority over your soul. My blood is a covenant of protection no one can break. So even though the battle is real, even though at times you may feel attacked from every side, let this be engraved within you: I am not standing outside of it. I am the one who goes before you, the one who shields behind you, the one who stands beside you, and the one who dwells within your heart. Even so, my protection does not mean you may live carelessly, think recklessly, or choose merely by impulse. My love for you is a shield, but it is also a solemn invitation for you to guard yourself. I invite you to pay attention to how you live each day, because every attitude, every decision, every small choice either opens the door wider for light or creates a crack through which darkness can slip in. Guard your way of life is not a dry moral slogan. It is the secret that helps you stand firm in that unseen war. When you are faithful in what seems small, a truthful word, an upright choice, a refusal of deceit, a step away from temptation, you are laying stone by stone into the spiritual wall that protects you and your household. Conversely, when you grow careless with what you watch, what you hear, what you speak, what you entertain in thought, you are unknowingly loosening those stones, and the spiritual fence begins to fracture. I'm not saying this so you live in tension, but so you understand you have your part in keeping the gates of your soul. Look again at your eyes. My child, the eyes of the body see the outer world, but the eyes of the inner person determine whether your soul is nourished or starving. Whatever you allow your gaze to linger on will slowly enter your heart and shape what you believe. When your eyes cling to passing glamour, to endless comparisons, to what is unclean and not upright, it will not be long before your heart loses its clarity and peace. I invite you to learn how to see again like a child who looks at the world through the eyes of their father. Practice seeing others not as rivals for comparison, but as brothers and sisters who need to be loved. Practice seeing circumstances not as dead ends, but as opportunities to witness me at work. Practice seeing yourself not through old labels, but through my merciful gaze. When your eyes are set on what is good, what is holy, what pleases me. Your inner life will be guarded from many attacks you never expected. Then there are your words, something that seems as light as wind, yet carries the power to lift or to weigh down another's heart, and also reveals plainly what is filling you within. I long for every word you speak to be no longer merely the reflex of a passing emotion, but the fruit of a heart that I have touched and formed. The kindness I have placed within you is not meant to be kept behind glass, but to seep into each phrase, each comfort, each counsel, each story you tell, each way you speak about yourself. When you allow my gentleness and meekness to shape the language you use, you will see the atmosphere around you change. Less tension, less blame, less rivalry, and more warmth, support, and healing. Do not underestimate a word of encouragement. At times, a single sentence, saturated with my love through your lips, can pull someone back from the edge of despair and open hope for them where they believed none remained. My child, this is also true in the way you speak to yourself. In the quiet spaces where no one hears, what do you tell your own heart? Do you often, without realizing it, repeat old accusations? I'm so bad at this. I'm worthless. I'm behind everyone. Instead of speaking to your soul with the truth I have spoken, I want you to learn to speak to yourself as I speak to you, gentle yet strong, merciful yet clear, full of hope rather than driving you into a corner. Practice replacing self-degrading phrases with affirmations that come from me. You are loved. You are forgiven. You are not alone. You have a place in my plan. When the voice within you is healed, the enemy will find it far harder to use its voice to masquerade as yours. The more you walk in this sincere devotion, relying on me, correcting the way you see, reshaping the way you speak, the more you will realize what you truly crave is not the applause of the world, but the gentle smile on my face. Human approval is like a spark that flares and dies. Today they praise. Tomorrow they may forget or turn away. But my gaze is steady and unchanging. I do not love you more when you succeed, nor love you less when you stumble. What delights my heart is seeing you rise again after you fall. Return after you wander. Choose again. My plan for you when comparison tries to pull you away. That faithfulness rather than outward noise is what makes your life fragrant before me. Therefore, keep walking. Do not lose heart when you see you still have many limitations. I do not demand instant perfection. I walk with you through the long journey, holding your hand at every stage, shaping you little by little, lifting you after every stumble. What I ask of you is this: do not let go of my hand to chase the fleeting admiration of people. Remember, you cannot please everyone and still keep your inner freedom intact, but you can find deep rest when you choose to live under one gaze alone, my gaze. When you live this way, you will not be drowned by judgment, slander, or misunderstanding, nor will you be intoxicated by praise. You will stand firm, because your foundation will no longer be what people think, but what I have spoken and have never withdrawn, and it is from that place, from where you have learned sincere devotion, awareness of spiritual battle without fear, and the guarding of your lifestyle, your eyes, and your words, that you will be ready to step deeper into the journey I still want to write with you. Each day, I will open new pages for you, give you greater wisdom, help you recognize subtler traps, and at the same time lead you into a deeper experience of the width, length, height, and depth of my love for you. You need only keep holding my hand. Keep your heart soft before me, and let the gentleness, kindness, and holiness that come from me flow through you. The rest, leave it to me to arrange, to lead, and to protect. You belong to me, And that is the surest assurance for your life today, tomorrow, and forevermore. My beloved child, from this point on, I want to hold your hand even more tightly, because I know each day you must pass through more than a few provocations, tests, and moments where your pride, your self-respect, your love for your family, and your love for me are pressed. But I ask you not to let your heart be pulled by emotions that flare for a moment, and not to let anger or a rash reply cloud the spring of peace I have already placed within you. Because every time irritation takes the seat, you wound yourself before you wound anyone else. Remember that no matter how many furious waves rise outside, no matter how suddenly circumstances turn, no matter if someone uses harsh words to insult you, I am still holding you and those who belong to you in the safety of my arms, like a father holding a little child in a storm, where no wind can tear the child from the father's embrace. When you face attacks, contemptuous looks, or unfair treatment, I do not want you to respond as the world does. I desire you to answer in the way of the kingdom, with gentleness that flows from the Holy Spirit, with words drenched in grace, with a calmness born of knowing you are sheltered by me. You may choose not to speak, you may choose to smile, you may gently choose silence and entrust your hurt to me, so that I may be the one who defends you. Because each time you choose meekness, when you have every right to be angry, you open the door for my peace to soak into the atmosphere of your home, to spread even to those who do not believe. And your household itself will become a refuge where my peace reigns. I do not want you merely to endure your days as someone who survives them. I want you to live with a deep expectancy, expecting me to act, expecting what is beyond your thinking, expecting quiet interventions that later you will look back on and realize, that was the Lord's hand. I encourage you to train your heart in the habit of hope. Do not let your soul grow accustomed to the worst-case script, but accustomed to the truth that I can rewrite the story with a single breath. An unexpected door, a meeting that seems accidental. Prepare room within you to receive such good surprises by loosening complaint, loosening muttering, loosening your fixation on lack, and growing instead in thanksgiving, surrender, and a simple yet trusting yes. Let me remind you gently that when you choose to believe before you see, when you cling to me while everything around you seems to shout for you to give up, that is when your faith is forged like steel in fire. I do not require a perfect faith that never trembles. I only ask that each day you rise once more after wavering and say, Lord, today I still choose to believe. Through each event, through each tear no one understands. Your faith is not disappearing. It is being deepened, strengthened, made enduring until one day you realize you are no longer as easily crushed as before. Your heart is steadier, not because you have become stronger, but because you have learned to lean on me more. I see the times you grow weary as you look at your family's strained relationships, financial burdens, unspoken disagreements, old wounds between husband and wife, parents and children, siblings. You may have thought the old joy would never return, that meals would always feel heavy, that laughter would always be rare. But I tell you, I have not forgotten this home. I am quietly weaving back together each broken strand of connection. I am preparing fresh seasons you cannot yet imagine. There will be days when laughter returns to your lips, evenings when praying together is restored, moments when you suddenly notice that even something very small in your home is a sign I am still working. A softer look, a sincere apology, an ordinary gesture of care. All of these are drops of the oil of gladness I am pouring back upon your household, so that joy is no longer a passing emotion, but a deep peace that comes from knowing the Lord is here with our family. Don't be afraid that my love for you will fade with the years or be worn down by your stumbles. I do not love you the way humans do, sometimes more, sometimes less, sometimes fervent, sometimes lukewarm. My love for you is like a river that never runs dry day after day. It remains full. It is only that at times you build up the banks, and at times you open them. I will keep affirming it, repeating it again and again, until your heart finally believes that you are loved through the words I give you in Scripture, through the small encounters I arrange, through a song that touches the very place inside you, through someone's timely embrace when you are weak, through the moments you almost fell but were kept. Every coincidence you see is a "I love you" written in a way so personal that only you can understand. And do not forget, I come to you not only in fervent hours of prayer, but also in the moments you are quiet, weary, even discouraged. I am there when you sit alone in a dark room. I am there when you wash dishes in silence, drive, work, care for your child. My presence is not a passing pleasant feeling, but a reality that surrounds you whether you sense it or not. Often you assume I am absent simply because you are no longer moved as you once were. But in truth I am still near, only I am leading you from living by emotion to living by a deeper, more mature faith, precisely because you are the one who chooses each morning to wake and seek me, the one who has learned to close your eyes for a moment amid the bustle and whisper, "Lord, what do you want me to do?" The one willing to pause your hands and your thoughts, to listen rather than only speak. So I treasure every one of those small efforts of yours all the more. Others may not see it, but I see. I remember every second you give me, even if it is only a sigh turned toward heaven. Therefore I tell you, do not let one exhausting day or one dry season convince you that you have lost your way. And do not let your falls make you conclude that you are no longer worthy of communion with me. I call you as a father placing a hand on your shoulder, speaking gently yet firmly, "Don't give up." If you knew how many times I have kept you from despair, from wrong decisions, from doors that seemed good but were truly traps, you would understand why I do not want you to stop halfway. This journey does not end with the dark days you are in now, nor does it stop at the losses you are learning to accept. It continues into seasons when you will become a witness of my faithfulness before many others who are swaying just as you are today. So, my child, keep rising again, keep coming to me each morning, even when your soul feels dry. Close your eyes in faith even when you feel nothing special. Keep asking me even when it seems I am silent. In that very perseverance, you are sowing quiet seeds, and one day you will reap a golden harvest not only for yourself, but for your family, for those you pray for the souls who will be strengthened through the story of how you walked with me day by day. I am there, I am still here, and I will be with you forever. Only do not let go of my hand. My child, I have watched every stretch of your path, from the days when your heart was still tender to the time you have grown through so many ups and downs. And in all of it I have seen something precious in you, though you stumble, though you waver, though you have asked yourself many times whether you still have the strength. You keep holding on to me. You keep guarding inside a small spark of trust, however faint, that I will never leave you. Because of that, I cherish your faith the way a mother cherishes a newborn child, the way a father holds close the child who has run home through heavy rain. I have seen how often you have pulled yourself up after disappointment, seen the nights you tossed and turned, yet still tried to whisper a weak prayer, seen the mornings you told yourself, "I will try one more time." The world may overlook those small efforts, and at times you may even dismiss them, but to me they are treasure. That is why I long to pour more of my love into your heart, to soothe old scratches, to dry silent tears, to soften the places where pain has made your soul hardened. I do not come merely to calm you for a moment, but to rebuild within you a firm foundation, So your faith is not a flickering flame, but a steady lamp in the midst of storm winds. I wish that each night, when you close a long day, you could rest your head upon my shoulder within your soul as a child rests against a father's chest, until the fatigue in you slowly melts and is replaced by a gentle sense of safety. I want you to release the burdens you clutch all day, the thoughts that spin endlessly around the future. The questions, will everything be okay? Am I enough? So you will know that before you lay yourself down. I have been watching over you. I remain faithful in guarding you in every breath, keeping watch over your sleep like a loyal sentry who never leaves his post. And tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, I desire that the first thing you reach for is not worry, not the news, not the comparisons you carried from yesterday, but one simple thought: today the Lord is still here. And because He is present, my new day has hope. I do not promise you that every day will be easy, but I promise you this: every day, I am there and with me. No day is meaningless. No moment is wasted. Wherever you are, within a cramped room or in the middle of a noisy city, in an ordinary home or on an unfamiliar road, I still surround you with a presence no one can steal from you. There are moments you feel lonely in a crowd. Evenings, you walk with a hollow ache inside. Nights you burst into tears and dare not let anyone know. I want you to know that in that very moment, I am very near. Imagine my hands resting gently upon your head, not to impose or control, but to bless every thought passing through your mind, to cleanse the thoughts that weigh you down, and to cause ideas of peace to take root. I touch your mind, crowded with worries and memories, to plant new rays of light. I touch your heart, so often weary from loving and being disappointed, to pour into it comfort from heaven. I touch your feet, so that each step you take is not merely hurried survival, but a directed walk, purposeful, meaningful, with a destination. I am preparing many things for you that you cannot yet fully see. There are blessings I have already wrapped and set aside, waiting for the right time to place them in your hands like a seed under the soil, in darkness, seeming silent, yet in truth quietly sprouting little by little. Sometimes you think, I've prayed for so long, why has nothing changed? And you grow discouraged. You loosen your grip. You assume your prayers have lost their worth. But my child, every word you speak to me is kept by me. Every hidden longing you lift to me does not vanish into emptiness. I do not forget. I do not overlook. I do not ignore. I am teaching you to trust not only when answers come quickly, but also in seasons that feel silent. Trust while waiting is a deep beauty of the soul, and I see that beauty forming in you even when you do not recognize it. I understand that there have been times your heart felt exhausted, that seeking me each day seemed like repetition and you wondered whether it still meant anything. There are days you pray fervently, and there are days your prayer is only a sigh, a single sentence: Lord, I don't know what to say. Be at peace. I do not evaluate you by the number of words you speak, nor do I measure your worth by the smoothness of your sentences. Often the most beautiful prayers are not those spoken perfectly, but a heart that dares to draw near in weakness and honesty. If one day you are too tired to speak, be still and simply turn your heart toward me. Your silence is still a loud voice before my throne. I hear the trembling within you. I understand the meaning of your tears. I sense the desires you have not yet found words to name. When you close your eyes and try to sense me, do not tense yourself or strain to imagine something grand. Begin simply as if a gentle warmth spreads from within, not from your body, but from the deepest place in your soul. It may feel like an unseen support holding you up, like someone draping a soft blanket across your shoulders, like a sudden quiet settling in you, even though nothing outside has changed. That small sense is a sign that I am there, that I am using my presence to gather up what is broken within you. Do not rush to judge that moment with reason, and do not force yourself to feel strong immediately. Let comfort seep into you slowly, like rain sinking into dry ground, like light slipping through a narrow window gap. I long for your joy to no longer be something shallow, dependent on what you have or what you can accomplish, but to become a deep spring flowing from within, born of knowing you belong to me yesterday, today, and forever. I wish that when you look back on past days that seemed gloomy and full of tears, you could smile as you realize I was quietly walking with you in the smallest details. I was in the chance encounters that strengthened you. I was in the encouraging words from someone who seemed like a stranger. I was in the times you nearly collapsed, yet still stood again. I was in opportunities that arrived at precisely the right moment, what you called luck, but were in truth gentle arrangements. As you recognize how I have been at work, your joy will no longer be fragile. It will be joy soaked in gratitude. I also desire that your peace will not be only a few quiet moments, then shattered again by bad news or reproachful words, but a peace with roots, anchored deeply in me. True peace is not the absence of storms, but your heart learning to hide in me when storms arrive. I want to teach you that in every upheaval, there is a place you can always return to, my embrace. No one can steal your right to return. No circumstance can prevent me from opening my arms. No sin, when you have surrendered it to me, can be great enough to slam that door shut. You only need to remember the way back. Only dare to believe a little more that I still want to welcome you, whether you feel worthy or not. The fruit of my love does not pour out only upon you. It also spreads to those you love. In my plans of blessing, I do not think only of you, but also of your family, those bound to you by blood, by affection, by invisible threads. I want to let my light shine upon the roof under which you live. I want to bring new warmth into strained relationships. I want to sow fresh hope in loved ones who have grown weary. When I touch your life, not only are you changed, but the atmosphere around you can be transformed as well. Through the words you speak, through the look you offer, through the way you face hardship, others will taste something of the flavor of my love. I know you long for a brighter season, a time when tears are no longer your constant companion, a stage where you can breathe out in relief without carrying so much worry about tomorrow. I do not rebuke that desire. I placed it in your heart like a promise that I have not finished my work in your life. I will open new doors. I will bring opportunities you never expected. I will cause dreams that seem dead to sprout again. Yet while you wait for that season, do not lose the most precious thing, your relationship with me. If you have everything but lose me, you will still feel empty. But if you have me even in hard days, you will never fall into despair. Therefore, my child, keep walking slowly, but not backward. Keep lifting your eyes to me, even when they are full of tears. Keep whispering, I believe you are here, even when your heart still carries many questions. I see. I understand. I treasure every time you choose to return instead of giving up. And I promise you this, not a single moment placed in my hands is meaningless. Not a single tear shed in my presence is wasted. Not a single sacrifice for my love is squandered. I am writing your story with my faithfulness as the ink and your very life as the page. If you allow me to keep writing, you will see that the ending of the story is always far more beautiful than what you feared in the darkness of the night. My beloved child, I know there are times when you look around and see others showing off their money, their status, things that glitter under the gaze of the world, and your heart sinks as you quietly wonder, then what do I have in my hands? I see every fleeting sadness passing swiftly through your heart. Every sigh you try to swallow so you can appear fine. You think I do not notice. Yet even the slightest movement within your soul is in my sight. I want you to pause for a moment. Close your eyes. And remember this, you are not empty-handed. You are keeping an inheritance that belongs to eternity, something money cannot buy, power cannot seize, and the world's applause cannot compare with. You have me, and I, myself, am your portion. An inheritance that never fades. You are the one who has given your heart to me, who has knelt again and again in the secret place, who has wept before me tears that no one else has seen. You have learned to discern the delicate movements of the Holy Spirit. You recognize warnings, comforts, and those small yet mighty urgings from heaven. Not everyone is given that sensitivity. Not everyone knows how to turn their heart toward me as you have. This is honor. This is grace. This is a priceless treasure I have entrusted to you. Think of it while many can only hear the noise of the world. You have the privilege of hearing my whisper to your very soul. While so many chase praise and flattery, then collapse when others turn away, you can find peace by sitting still before me. Even when no one around you understands what you are doing, I want you to look back on your journey each time I lifted you out of the mire of disappointment. Each moment I wiped your tears. Each season when it seemed there was no way out, yet a new path opened quietly, gently. Those memories are not coincidences. They are my fingerprints on your life. Every moment you recognized my presence. Every minute your heart warmed, even while the world outside was cold, is proof that you are living within a relationship no wealth, no success can replace. I have opened. I am opening. And I will continue to open before you doors that many search for and cannot find. These are not only opportunities in work or blessed encounters, but inner doors as well, a door into peace in the middle of storms, a door into wisdom when everything is tangled, a door into simple joy in a world full of striving. There are doors I keep shut before many, because if opened, they would lose themselves. But with you, I know when you are ready. I know when your heart is deep enough to step in without losing me. You do not need to fear missing what is good, because I am the one who holds the key to every door. When I open, no one can shut. When I shut, no one can pry it open. You only need to walk in obedience and trust. The rest, leave to my care. So do not let your heart be set ablaze by jealousy over someone else's path. From a distance you see their glow, but you do not see the hidden corners, the burdens, the compromises they accepted to obtain what you are tempted to desire. Some roads look bright under the world's lights, yet they lead far away from me. Some kinds of success bring applause, yet slowly drain the soul dry. I do not want you to trade your eternal future just to run a few steps ahead in the present. Do not let your eyes be hypnotized by what glitters and quickly fades. Look deeper. Look farther. To what I am preparing for you. I am always leading you on the best path, not the easiest, not the most dazzling, but the one that makes your soul grow, mature, and draw nearer to me day by day. You do not need to impress anyone to have your worth confirmed. In my eyes, you had value before you ever did anything for me, before you served, before you helped anyone, before you sang or spoke about me. I loved you simply because you are my child. Your worth does not increase when people praise you, and it does not diminish when they turn away. Human beings measure value by achievements. But I look at the heart, even when you feel like you are nothing. In my eyes, you are a soul so precious that I accepted the shedding of blood to rescue you. You do not need to parade perfection. You do not need to wear a mask of strength. And you do not need to prove that you are worthy. I already know what you have, what you still lack, the cracks you try to hide, and I still say, I choose you, my child. My house is not a foreign place to you. You have entered many times. You have sensed the sacred atmosphere and peace there. The door of my house is not shut so that you must knock timidly. It is always open wide to welcome you, whether you come in joy or in tears. This is holy ground, a safe refuge, the place where you can lay down every role you play out there and return as a little child in the Father's arms. You do not need to register. You do not need to book an appointment. You do not need to wait your turn. If you sigh and call my name, if your heart turns gently toward me, you have already stepped in. In my house you are not judged, weighed, or scrutinized. I listen to you with endless patience, with a heart that never grows tired of you. In this world, you will not find a love as pure and steadfast as the love I have for you. Human affection, no matter how beautiful, still has limits. It can change with time, with circumstances, with feelings. But my love for you does not depend on mood. It is not controlled by your success or your failure. Even when the world around you seems to be collapsing, relationships cracking, plans falling apart, dreams left unfinished, I remain there, not stepping back, not letting go. You may lose many things, but you will never lose me. You may feel shattered, but in my hands, those fragments will be fitted into a new picture, more beautiful, deeper, and richer in grace. I want you to engrave this within you every time you choose to believe my word instead of comparing your life to someone else's. A quiet miracle is lit within your heart. That miracle is not always a dramatic event on the outside. Often, it is a gentle transformation on the inside, from anxiety to peace, from bitterness to gentleness, from confusion to steady courage. When you decide to rest in my arms, to stop trying to control everything, to stop racing the world, you will see what once looked locked up begin to loosen. I am the one who can make a way in the wilderness, who can cause streams to flow from dry ground. I can touch the dead places in your soul, dreams you thought had gone out, faith you believed you had lost, and bring them back to life. I am not a vague idea, not a distant energy. I am Father, the living one, the one who truly intervenes in your reality. What seems impossible in the eyes of the world becomes possible in my hands. I can change the direction of the wind, turn circumstances around, reorder relationships, open new paths you never imagined. Yet the greatest miracle I want to work in you is not an outward change, but the transformation of your heart from a heart that constantly compares, constantly feels lacking, constantly fears being less, into a heart that knows belonging to Father is enough. When that heart is formed, every other miracle becomes a natural consequence. Let me remind you once more, you are richer than you think. You do not only possess what you can see and touch, you also carry an unseen treasury I have placed deep within your soul: faith, sensitivity to the Holy Spirit, the capacity to love, perseverance through trial, deep experiences with me in the valley of tears. These things never disappear, and no one can steal them from you, even when you feel you are behind others. In my plan, you are not late at all. You are moving at the pace I desire for you. Do not let the noise of comparison and envy make you forget the gentle voice of mine that calls your name each day. When you understand all this, you will be less pulled by the craving to prove yourself under other people's eyes. You will no longer need recognition to feel valuable, because you have been recognized by me long ago. You will no longer exhaust yourself trying to please everyone, because you know it is enough to please me. And from this very point, I will lead you into a new season. I will teach you to live in the freedom of a child who knows they are loved. In the midst of a world that constantly measures, judges, and demands, you will learn to stand steady amid praise and blame, neither lifted up by applause nor crushed by criticism, because the only gaze you seek is mine. Keep your heart tender, for what I am about to speak to you will guard your heart against a subtle temptation seeking human approval more than living under my loving gaze. Now, in this moment, open wide the door of your soul and offer me your deepest, most hidden prayers. With all the simplicity and sincerity of your heart, Almighty God, Father who formed me wonderfully in my mother's womb, today I come before your presence to entrust my whole self back into your hands. For so long I have defined myself by praise and blame, by success or failure, by silent comparisons with others, and I have grown weary from always feeling not enough. Now I place into your hands my doubting heart, my wavering mind, and my small view of myself. Break every false measure that has bound my soul, and set upon me again the true name you have given. I am your beloved child, chosen, treasured, and kept. Teach me to live each day as a child who believes they are loved, so I no longer have to race, no longer have to wear a mask, no longer bow under the gaze of the world, but can be at peace in being myself within your purpose. Merciful Father, you who see to the depths of my memories and the hidden corners of my soul, I lay before you the old years full of wounds that I often avoid. I bring to you the mistakes that make me ashamed, the wrong decisions that torment me, the memories that, whenever I recall them, still pierce my heart and call tears to the surface. Many times I have used that past to condemn myself, to believe I am not good enough, not clean enough, not worthy of the good things you promise. But today, I stop and kneel before you, asking you to wash away every layer of dust clinging to my soul by your love and mercy. Enter the secret room within me, the place where I have stored what I fear to face, and turn it into a space of light, peace, and complete forgiveness. So from this day forward, I no longer live as a slave to the past, but as a child moving forward in the present with you beside me, gentle and humble Jesus, the one who understands every rise and fall of human life. I plead with you to lay your hand upon my mind and emotions right now. There are days when I allow negative thoughts, careless words, and groundless fears to take over the space in my head until I can no longer hear your voice clearly. At times I believe feelings of disappointment, discouragement, and inferiority more than I believe the Father's promises for me, and by doing so I hand the key of my soul over to darkness. Cleanse the pathways of my thinking. Help me recognize what is truth from you and what is lies from the enemy, so I no longer agree with unseen accusations, comparisons, and condemnations. Grant me a mind made steady in peace, a heart that stays tender toward the Word of God, and a renewed sensitivity, so I know how to stop the moment dark thoughts begin to take their place within me, so that I may live each day in the light, no longer dragged about by emotions without direction. Lord, I bow my head in gratitude to you, for you have patiently walked with me through every stage of my journey, even the stretches where I myself saw how broken, how weak, how easily I could fall. I thank you because you never grew weary of my repeated failures, never turned away when I was confused and doubtful, but always found a way to draw me back through a circumstance, a verse of Scripture, a brother or sister in faith, or a subtle change within my heart. I know that without you, I would have sunk completely into anxiety, comparison, the past, and negative voices. But your love held me so that I did not utterly collapse. I thank you that every small measure of freedom I have today is the fruit of your grace quietly at work within me, chains slowly wearing away, darkness gradually lifting, wounds gently closing. Help me always remember that every spiritual step forward, no matter how small, belongs to you alone, so that I may not grow proud, but only praise you and place my trust in you. Loving God, Our Father, I offer you my thanksgiving for the unseen protection you have granted to me and to my family. So many times I have only seen the surface of events, unaware that behind it all was your hand guarding and sheltering us, preventing far worse things from happening. I thank you for the ordinary days that seem to hold nothing special, yet it is precisely in those days that you nourish me with peace, with daily bread, with moments of family togetherness, and with small opportunities to love and to forgive. I know there are battles I never noticed, schemes I could not see, but you stood in that hidden space to protect my home. I give thanks for your quiet yet powerful presence, and I ask to learn how to live each day with deeper gratitude, never taking any blessing for granted. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so that together we may build a strong and growing community of faith.